Now we are.
Oh, we here now.
Because I can't afford to lose nobody else.
Yo, this guy's an idiot, bro.
All right, everybody. So where is Melyssa Ford continues? Melyssa Ford has gone on an extended absence from the Joe Budden podcast, and I must say it has the podcast world ablaze. Where has Melyssa Ford gone? And in the last episode of the Joe Budden podcast, we saw some insights into what may be going on behind the scenes. So Melyssa Ford disappeared about a week and a half ago during a Patreon episode where they started talking about, the addictions that they may or may not have.
Would you like to say?
I'm not saying anything. I don't know your life.
Is there something that I don't know?
You said there was a point.
There was a point.
There was a point where,
Can you put this down and say it?
yeah, there was a time where there was a little bit too much self-medication, but, now I don't.
Was that a long time ago?
Yeah.
This whole room is in denial.
Now, there's been several allusions to Mark Lamont Hill about there being some type of big argument, World War III or whatever, and that caused the situation to extend into a point where they would stay at the podcast having a meeting. Well, Melyssa Ford hasn't been back, and in episode 857, Joe Budden discussed how he couldn't afford to lose another person. Now, that is in no doubt a reference to Melyssa Ford no longer being on the pod. But there was also some other interesting talks about the podcast and the industry. One where they were talking about Hot 97 and the Funk Flex scandal, where Funk Flex allegedly had someone fired, and that allowed the cast to talk about, hey, would you fire someone if they were dragging down the performance of the show? That conversation was ushered in by Mark Lamont.
Is it, if you work at a job and you have influence and power, but you're not the boss, is it up to try to get somebody fired?
Yes.
Always?
And even Flip chimed in saying that Ish and Ice are grandfathered in because they won't get fired.
Yo, y'all grandfather can't comment on what I'm saying. Y'all
Treat the job as something
exactly.
you want.
True, exactly.
I mean, let's not get carried away. What's grandfather then? They not grandfather.
That's what I said. He just say that because
you just saying shit.
He always say that.
No, but you know what I mean, right?
He just mean we was here longer.
Thank you. Yes. Seniority.
Seniority. Probably.
Now, I think what Ish and Ice really, what he means by that is that, they saved the pod at the time Rory and Maul left, so I think Joe is sentimental about them and won't fire them, even though they ain't bringing a fastball anymore. But there's also other things going on in light of this whole drama. It's crazy how now it's basically love and hip-hop, y'all. This is love and podcasting, because just a few days ago, a clip from 8 years ago resurfaced where Jason Lee reveals that Melyssa Ford and Mark Lamont Hill used to date.
Shout out to Mark Lamont Hill. You know she used to date Mark Lamont Hill? Did you know that Melyssa and him used to date?
Really?
Yeah.
She owns anyway, let me stop telling
Yeah, we did. I mean, I adore.
He's a great guy.
I adore Mark.
Now, I'm 100% sure the whole cast knew this, so it's only something that really is shocking to people who didn't know, and I've known this for about 2-3 years. So, with that being said, there's also the Imani situation with Melyssa Ford, where it seems like they hooked up at Joe Budden's birthday party or something like that, allegedly. And even Mark Lamont Hill would joke about it on the podcast, alluding to being Eskimo brothers with Imani.
We used to mess with a couple of the same joints. That's what I was thinking in my mind.
You and Malik Rose? Yo, you got weird Eskimo brothers. Yo, you got weird Eskimo brothers. Yo, you got weird Eskimo brothers. You got 100%. Weird Eskimo brothers, yo.
100%. He does. Yeah. It's a wide range. There's several up here, so I mean that's why I was this.
Oh shit.
Will you have Eskimo?
There's several up here, so I mean that's why I was this.
Oh shit.
Will you have Eskimo?
Oh shit.
Will you have Eskimo?
So now we have a confluence of incidents where it's just going to be weird if Melyssa Ford ever comes back. And then there's another sidebar with an impending lawsuit. Now that was brought up by the YouTuber Dub. He has the files with Dub, where he went into great detail about how someone contacted him and let him know that Melyssa Ford might be planning some type of lawsuit, or at least considering it. And the basis of this alleged lawsuit is that Joe Budden suspended Melyssa Ford because she took some days off, and that triggered Melyssa Ford to say, hey, do you suspend other people when they have days off? And that was like a HR violation, or it could be a HR violation, allegedly. Now, I'm just saying, I don't know if this is 100% accurate, but it could be feasible. I don't know if the podcast has the infrastructure of a tight show. So we'll have to see if that really does pan out that way. And then we also had Mandy, the salacious Mandy from Joe Budden's past, tweet lawsuit. Now, she's alluding to Melyssa Ford possibly executing a lawsuit against Joe Budden. I got this theory that a lot of the people in Joe Budden's past wishes they were in position to get a lawsuit from him, because I just think that some people feel like they put up with Joe through his worst, and one of those people is Mandy. Mandy herself has said she stuck with Joe during the whole situation, the lawsuit with the see the thing is controversy. And I think she's like, damn, I ain't seen nothing from that but pasta and wine. There's also other things going on with Melyssa Ford. She just did a podcast with Maya that did like 100,000 views, which to me shows if she interviews a baddie, she's basically going to get a lot of views because people just like the visual of two beautiful women getting together and talking about sex and so on and so forth. Then she also posted a picture of her at Spotify, or her with a Spotify tag. Now, a lot of people took this to mean that she signed with Spotify. Let's pump our brakes here, kids. I think what happened was Spotify was just promoting a new creator that has risen and probably has a bunch of subscribers. And that's kind of the workaround that a lot of these companies are doing. They're not signing creators. What they're doing is creating creator programs, and then they're promoting the people that rise quickly in their creator programs to circumvent having to pay them, but profiting off of having them in their program. And on top of that, Melyssa Ford also had an episode of her podcast where she was talking about closure and whatnot. And I think, I don't know. This whole thing to me, it feels very interesting. It kind of looks as if both sides know it's over and they're trying to see how the other one deals with the situation. I think Joe's ready to lose Melyssa Ford. I think Melyssa Ford is ready to lose the podcast. Not so much the money, though. I do think she would love to replace the money. And what better way to replace the money than just asking for a severance? Like, yo, let me walk out the door. You're bringing in a new woman. Possibly don't call me white girl. And we could just take it from there. Because if she does come back and this new woman joins and there's clashing, you could see even more suspensions. So it's not like Melyssa Ford is going to come back to the podcast and everything's going to be fine. At the end of the day, the Joe Budden podcast will be the Joe Budden podcast. It's a male-centered place where the voices of men dominate. Now, that could be a bad thing depending on your perception, but I do know that there's a lot of men who prefer just having all men on the show, and there's even a lot of women who prefer the same thing. So we'll have to see. And even if that's the case, Joe is obsessed with having a woman voice. I think he just feels like it takes his show to the next level, and it allows women to relate to the podcast. But the majority of women that I've seen talk about the show say that they love that the show doesn't have women on it, especially during the Rory and Maul era, during the Ish and Ice era. That's when they went on their biggest run, specifically the Rory and Maul era. And we will have to see, because not everything is solid outside of Melyssa Ford. Like, it's clear Flip has an issue with whatever's going on. Flip has detached. He's silent quitting over the last few months, occasionally going up a notch with his energy. But overall, you can tell he's pivoted to caring about his own network, Flip the Network. But let me know what you think. Do you feel Melyssa Ford is coming back? I know a lot of people don't want Melyssa Ford back, but the truth is she turnkeys a lot of the most viral moments for the show because people just want to see her either look crazy or see her get dogpiled. It's just the optics of her arguing with Joe as someone who used to be viral hit harder than the random Joe Schmo lady that would be on the show. It's like, yo, that's really Melyssa Ford from back in the day. Like, sometimes it's kind of surreal when you think about it. Take a time machine back to 2005 or 3 and be like, yo, in 20 years, Joe Budden and Melyssa Ford will be doing a podcast together. Well, they'll talk about gender wars and they'll talk about race issues and they'll talk about Joe Budden's career in the industry. It's just the absurdity of it all is why it works. I'm not saying it makes for great conversation, but at the end of the day, Melyssa Ford is the second most famous on the show. Well, Mark Lamont might be the second most famous, but she's not too far behind. And prior to Mark Lamont's arrival, she was clearly the second most favorite. Flip is more popular in YouTube world, but as far as the greater scheme of things, because of who she's dated, because of just all of the big videos she was in, she remains the prototype of the video vixen era. She's the Jerry West of video vixens. She may not have been, I'm not saying this as me because I think she's beautiful, but she may not have been the most beautiful girl, just like Jerry West wasn't the most best basketball player. But she's still the one that you think about when you think about video vixens. She was a model for a year and a half. She was on the pod for a year and a half. So let's see if she comes back. I'm monitoring this story. There's a lot of people monitoring this story. The lawsuit implications are something that is rising in the rumors of the podcast world. But I don't know. I just don't see Melyssa Ford doing that. I think that is just conjecture. And maybe Joe might need to be proactive in just paying her off, giving her a year's salary and calling it a done day. With that said, follow me on Instagram, The Stop TV. Follow me on Twitter, The Stop TV. Follow me on Patreon, The Stop. This is Danny from The Stop. Peace.